By any chance, do you hear the noise that's on the phone?
Yeah, I hear a little, whatever that little noise is.
Like a static type noise? Okay, because I was just wondering if it was only me hearing it. Did you move from where you were sitting, Gary, before?
No, I'm in the same spot.
Okay, so am I, so I don't know what that is, and it's starting to annoy me. But we do have a caller on hold, and I do believe that it might be somebody that you said was going to call in, so let's go ahead and check it out. Area code 310,
Hello?
You're on. Hi.
Hi, it's Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Writer Malignant. Hey.
Hi,
Brian.
say hi to Gary and say hi to Sabina,
Gary.
and I'm Pam.
Hi, nice to meet you on the phone.
Hi, you too. I'm sorry about the noise that's on the line. I'm not sure what that is. It just started, and I hope you can hear us okay.
Yeah, I can hear it all right.
Okay. Well, for our listeners, we have director and writer Brian Avnet Bradley on the phone with us, and he's worked with Gary in a movie. So how's it going for you today, Brian?
Oh, good. We're just in a very final stage of finishing up posts on the movie, and very happy with it, and very especially happy with Gary's performance in it. I don't know if he's talked to you guys much about it, but not only is he the lead actor in it, but he's just about in every scene. It's a psychological suspense thriller / horror film that really follows his character. You kind of know everything from his point of view. So Gary is, after the initial setup of the movie, I think Gary is in every scene. I don't think there's a scene that doesn't have him.
So Gary's the star of Malignant. Malignant is the name of the movie.
That's why I'm going to have a hard time watching it.
Well, you've already seen a rough cut of it. So you've already been subjected to it a little bit.
But it was with you and Lo. I can live with that. Premiere or something like that. It's going to be a little nerve-wracking for me.
Well, if you haven't picked it up by now, Gary is incredibly modest. He really does an amazing job in the film. I mean, he really has to carry the movie because of the type of film it is on his character. And, I mean, him and the antagonist is Brad Dourif, and what they did together was just absolutely amazing. It's the highlight of the movie when the antagonist and protagonist kind of finally meet up in person, and it really was great directing both of them together. It was great experience for me.
Well, how did you hook up with Gary?
Well, that was just auditioning. We were auditioning for the lead character of Alex, because we knew the whole movie really was on that character's shoulders. So we had to get someone exceptional, and it's also a very difficult role. It has a lot of art to it, so there's a lot of different moods and expressions and emotions, and he really has a breakdown throughout the course of the movie, and then things even get worse after that. So I needed someone who could pull that off, and Gary was the only one after all the auditions who could really do it.
I'm not surprised. He's good like that.
I mean, you came in for 3 times auditioning, Gary?
I think it was twice. I came in with you once, and then Lo for the second time, and then you guys offered me the role, and then I came in and read with Nick Nicotera and then a few other possible Emily's, just to see what the chemistry was like or whatever. And
that was really the key, was Gary was the only actor who could hit all the notes. I mean, there were other actors, they're all, good actors, but, he needed someone who could hit all the different notes that the part required, and it was a tall order. And Gary was able to go there even in the auditions, and then I think working together, in the course of the movie, it goes much, much, much further. But you could already see in the audition, that he was going to be able to go there, which was, it's hard to do that in an audition.
Right, exactly. And you have such a short time to do that, I would imagine, to get your point across and what you want to do.
We kind of did an unorthodox casting in the sense that I don't really like to line people up and cattle call type auditions. So I actually probably met with everybody the first time for a minimum of 15 minutes. And then the second time, if someone came back the second time, I think it was up to even longer, like a half hour to an hour, because I feel like you can't really get a sense of somebody, if they just come in and read and you go thank you and they walk out the door.
Right.
It doesn't really tell you anything.
Yeah, I would imagine even if you're a seasoned director or producer or writer, that it's got to be kind of hard to, get the gist of what somebody is like and what they can do for your character in just a few minutes.
Well, a lot of that has to do with, having a really good casting agent. And we had some people helping us with casting, but we didn't really have a person who officially had that role. So we kind of had to take on a little bit of that responsibility, the producer and myself. So the only way I could really make that work for me was to just spend a little bit more time. And Gary was, like I said, he just came in, and I think it was his second audition. He was like in tears for the scene, and the audition he's in tears, which is just kind of amazing for an actor to be able to do that.
Well, I wanted the role, and I remember being at the callback, and the hospital scene wasn't even. You guys were like saying goodbye to me, and I was like, well, I wanted to do the hospital scene just to show you I can go there. I didn't want to leave. Sometimes, and I've been learning through the experience of the auditions, I kind of go in there and let the casting director dictate it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm called in. Let me try to talk a little bit and say, let me try this, if I'm given that shot. And I wouldn't have been able to sleep that night or probably quite some time afterwards if I didn't get to attempt or at least bring up, hey, let me try this scene for you guys, because you have to go all out. There's a lot of hungry actors out there, and in order to play with the big boys, you got to be willing to go there and not be afraid and just step up, and that's all I want. I appreciate you giving me that opportunity to do that because, not everyone does. Sometimes they're like, yeah, thank you, that's good, thank you. You're like, all right, peace. The other thing about Gary was, besides the acting talent, was his attitude was amazing, and we did some pretty crazy things with the part. Like we went out to some pretty crazy places out in the desert that were pretty remote, and he was very gung ho about really going there and getting what we needed. It was some tough conditions in the summer heat. It was pretty brutal.
Gosh, that noise is just driving me up a wall. I noticed that, from your IMDb, Brian, that you're into making a lot of ghost and or like suspense movies. Is that something you intended on doing for the love of them, or that's just how it happened lately?
No, to me, it's like you got to do what you're passionate about. And I've always, ever since I started doing these little things as shorts when I was 10 years old, it's always basically been like suspense, horror, thriller, science fiction, or kind of really, really dark comedy. It always falls into that kind of arena. Different scripts and different movies have different mixtures of that. But like even this film has like a science fiction component that we don't go into a lot. But when you watch the movie, it'll subtly kind of creep up on you that there is like a science fiction component to it as well. But yeah, that's kind of my interest is that. That's just kind of what intrigues me. I love executing and shooting, suspense. And I love, situations where you're with a character that kind of gets put through the ringer. So I think that just makes, really interesting cinema to see a character be put into, more intense situations than hopefully we ever experience in our lives. And see how they, function in that.
Yeah. So, Brian, why, I'm just curious, what made you change the name from Black Butterflies to Malignant?
Well, when I first wrote the script, as these things happen, the first draft of the script, which was radically different than this one, goes all the way back to 2008. And at that point, there was no movie called Black Butterflies. And it actually thematically fits the movie, and it makes sense if you watch the movie because there's actually black butterflies in the film. So, I went with that title, and then in the course of like developing it and all the rewrites, and by the time we actually got the movie together or were able to execute it, all of a sudden there were like 4 Black Butterflies movies. So it went from like no movie having this title to all of a sudden there was like 4. And I'm like, okay, this is a problem. My totally unique, weird title is now being used by 4 movies. So it was like a big title search, which, actually Gary helped us with a big title search to find like another title that fit the movie but wasn't, taken. And finally, like Malignant came up, and there wasn't another movie named it, and it fit the movie also thematically. So I'm like, okay. So we switched it over. So it took me a little while to get used to saying the new title in my head, but now I'm totally used to it. So.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think somebody was inside your head if they came up with 4 other shows or movies by that name.
It's very strange. It's not the type of title that you think everyone would be snatching out of your hands.
Yeah.
But I guess these things come in waves. It's weird, So, but it's fine. I mean, the new title fits the movie really well, and I actually kind of like one-word titles. So I'm actually glad that it worked out. And it fits the poster really well. So it's gonna be nice.
Well, that's good. That's good that it worked out for you. I was curious, since you direct a lot of thriller-type movies like that, do the thrillers scare you at all, or have you become desensitized maybe, or?
No, I think the harder part for me is like if you make movies, you're very aware of the tricks. So I still get scared in a movie if it's a really great movie, because in a really great movie you forget you're watching a movie. So if it's really great, then yeah, I mean I can be totally scared and it totally works on me. But if it's not a great movie, if it's okay to good, and I don't really get sucked into it, then it can be harder because I know the little tricks people do for the scare or the suspense or that kind of stuff. And a lot of movies, unfortunately, today are derivative of other movies. But the ones that are original, the horror movies and thrillers that are original and doing something different, yeah, they totally still work for me. I love watching those. So.
That makes sense. Yeah, it is. It really is.
Yeah.
So what is it that you did before you became a director?
Well, I've done a lot of stuff which basically goes across like directing, writing, editing, even some producing. But my passion's always been, since I was a kid, my passion's always been kind of like writing stories and telling them. And then very early on, I basically came across film. Initially, I started out trying to do these like elaborate plays as a kid, and we'd have these elaborate plays, and we'd actually have to have the audience run around with us to different locations so I could make the play. So they all these things. And then pretty soon I realized, like my dad was an optical engineer at a company, and he brought home like one of the first like video cameras with like the separate unit, like the recorders, like a whole separate box and the camera. And he basically showed me this and said, "This might be easier if you just shot this as opposed to trying to run around and drag the audience." So that was kind of the beginning. And then once I saw what you could do in that medium, then it was like, oh, yeah, this is what I was trying to do. This is great. And then I saw Star Wars, and that was the first movie I ever saw in the theater. And I think my eyes got really big after watching that movie.
Oh yeah,
that was huge.
Very, very good. Oh yeah.
Well, that's the original non-special edition. I guess I should clarify what Star Wars is.
Okay.
So if you weren't a director, what is it you'd want to be doing instead?
That's really hard. I mean, I still do a lot of editing work for other people, and I do enjoy that, a lot of TV editing and stuff, and if it's the right kind of project, that is rewarding, and I enjoy that. But I only think I can do that because I know I'm also going to go back to directing, and I don't know if there's anything else I could really do like full time, and that's all I did. I think I would go crazy. And like I said, it's really like just wanting to tell stories, which I think is what Gary's got the same bug, which is probably another reason why we hit it off really well, because Gary's a writer and a storyteller too, and even beyond him being an actor, I think that's why we really, really hit it off together. Because there's a lot of actors that's all they do is act.
Right.
But Gary's also, I think, pretty much a storyteller. He does that with his performance, his acting, but also, he's a writer, and now he's producing and making it happen. And